a bunch of songs.
He's talking about Rusty. Talking about Rusty.
I'd like to call the order of the July 8th East Ascension Drainage meeting to order. Ms. Secretary, let it be known, Mr. Turner. I know Aaron's here. Where'd he go?
Aaron, he's coming back.
It looks like Mr. Turner's the only one absent. Aaron is here. Mr. Claude, would you lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge?
Thank you. Everyone, please stand, bow your head. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, as we get into the midst of the hurricane season, with a possible tropical storm coming into the Gulf, let's ask that we all look upon our neighbors. We ask that we get prepared, as we have always been, and let's take care of everyone. Lord, in the midst of all that, we have excessive heat, and we want to make sure we look toward the young folks that's out in the heat, and let's take care of the elderly. Let's look once again to our neighbors and do what we can. Lord, it's with special intentions. We ask that you pray for the Gotro family, for baby Maddie Gotro, the daughter of Sydney and Micah Gotro, as she's preparing for open heart surgery this week at Children's Hospital in Houston. We ask that you take all the hearts and all the prayers of the area and the neighborhood and the parish, and let's carry them with them and stay close to the family. Also, Lord, another intention, we ask that you continue to pray for baby Ada Catherine Molitor, the daughter of Andrew and Therese Gotro Molitor, as she was born last week, amidst her mother being put in the hospital for another impending surgery. And God, you brought them all through safely. We ask that you bring them back, bring them home healthy. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. If anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Move on to number 4, the acceptance of minutes for the June 10th.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Johnny. No chairman's report. Number 6, drainage report, Mr. Joy and Mr. Ron.
Good evening, Board. I'd like to start off a little something different this afternoon and highlight one of our employees that took a step up in leadership. He participated in the Leadership Ascension program, Mr. Anthony Henderson. He's very active in vegetation, and his group was Helping Hands Group, and they adopted the respite center on Prepare Road, and they did a remodel job on that facility, and that included a new deck, patio, some landscaping, mainly the things inside, the bedding, washer and dryer improvements, and it was just humbling to him, and you can tell it's already impacted him as a leader. And matter of fact, his group actually came out on top and won the best project. So we're very proud of him for that. And also Miss Bridget also participated in Leadership Ascension. To those employees, we really want to thank them for stepping up and continuing their leadership roles. Move on to the reports. In June 2019, we got about 20 work orders that were completed out. Currently, we have west of 44, we have Tiggy Duplessis Road in Oak Meadow area. There's an outfall ditch there. Magnolia Oaks Drive off of Perkins. A little bit of improvement along the outfall pipes. And then they are also on Plantation Court in that area. They'll be digging the outfall ditch from there to Red Oak to White Oak to 61. Parker Road, there's a drain that was really clogged up at Parker Road This is right next to Parker Place subdivision. And they're also going to add an additional 24-inch culvert on the side of the existing 18-inch culvert, which will give them a lot more discharge rate at those homes on Parker Road. Coontrap Road, they're digging an outfall ditch off there. Then you get in the east of 44, we have 621 at George Rouillet and 621 on the Wade Burke property, those outfall ditches that tie into all the road work that the state did and our contractor had done. So we're digging all those outfalls. Loop Road, there's an outfall ditch there being dug. Alton Rouillet outfall ditch is off of Highway 44. Forest Heights, the east side of Forest Heights, rear ditch. Rod Anderson Road, ditches at the rear on the east side. Highway 30 to Cluot Road, ditch at the rear of Gene Sheet Metal, that outfall ditch. And then Tracy Street off of Burton, there's another outfall ditch there being worked. And then we also have several sinkhole crews out working and different things in other areas. We did see an influx of calls last month with the big rain event, so our work orders did go up a little bit this month rather than down with the amount of calls that we had come in. I think it was around 100 in June that we received in off-road drainage. And other than that, I'll turn it over to Joey for the capital projects.
Good evening, council. We have plans completed for the New River Channel Improvement Project. Requisition was approved for funding of the project. It was advertised in the paper. Mandatory pre-bid was held July 2nd. There was a total of 11 contractors that came to that mandatory pre-bid. Inquiries have been, written inquiries were given by the contractors to us on Friday, July 5th. We're going to respond to those inquiries on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Bids will be received on Tuesday, July 16th. So that project is finally getting moving. BKI has been working on the flood proofing of the Marvin Bow pumps. We received plans today, so we'll be looking at those plans and making sure they're going to do the job that we want of backflow prevention to those pumps. Lake Park subdivision project and the Charleston area study is continuing to be progressed by Bryant Hammett and Associates. The Lake Park subdivision project is a full, and their update is that they finished, or they're very close to being finished, to all the topo work in order to get plans together. So then they're going to be putting plans together, and we'll hopefully put that out for bid to where we can make a lot of drainage improvements in that subdivision. The part around Charleston has been expanded because we've had a house or two flood on the June 6th event, that flash flood that we had. So we're going to have Brian Hammett study. There's a lot of subdivisions in that area, and one drainage, the drainage of one goes to the other or shares the same pond and all that. So Ron, in fact, gave the contractor all of the drainage plans from all those subdivisions, and it's just going to take a little work to, what we want them to do is just to study the area and hopefully provide some solutions as to make all that drainage work, because it's not as clear as we would like to be. Wallace Acres has been, we're waiting on signed contracts from the bidder, that apparent low bidder.
Excuse me one second.
Yep.
Signed a contract today on Wallace Acres.
Okay.
And then also I did a emergency declaration for us to get some pump sand and stuff that's very expensive right now, but we don't want to be caught with our pants down.
Thanks. We were waiting a little longer than expected for that contract to to have their signed plans. So parish president signed them pretty quick, and we finally got that going. We have the Ascension Parish Drainage Engineering Support Contract. It's really, we want an engineering firm or a company to provide services to help the Ascension Drainage District so that we don't have to continually put contracts together. It's a varied amount of services that we want them to employ them for. It's been advertised in the newspapers. We received inquiries from the contractors on June 26th. The qualification packages are to be received Tuesday, July 10th. And after we receive those packages, they will be delivered to 5 people in a selection committee, and we'll find the most qualified out of that group. Just a note, Melissa Kennedy of HNTB, at the request of the Corps, they wanted really the information that they provided for us for the LA 22 work, which was to provide openings under 22 in the excavation to the I guess like the northwest side. So that, you know, the work that we had them do, the Corps was wanting that work in order to get more information, to get a package together for their analysis, to you know, hopefully to us get federal funding. So that she did that part. GSA is continuing to work on the Law Ridge extension. They delivered 90% preliminary plans on June 14th. They incorporated the comments that we gave to them. Currently, they have a subcontractor that they are using to design the openings in the levee and also the sluice gates and the actuators. So, you know, it's the electronics of lifting those gates. So that's what they're working on now. With Fish Bayou, we have the mitigation amount that we need for the wetland mitigation. A requisition was made for that amount, and it's en route to the Corps. It's actually en route to the mitigation bank. So you know, GSA found Kimberly found the bank that qualified for the right amount to make that mitigation. She presented all that to us, and then we sent a check to that mitigation bank. We will have a memo of understanding drafted, hopefully for presentation next month, between the Ascension Drainage District and Mr. Frank Bonifay. So we have the survey work done for that, so we hope to have an agreement for you for next month. The next stage in permits, what Kimberly told me, is a Clean Water Act Section 404 permit. We did receive recently a scenic river permit, so piles of permits. So we're still in that mode. On Muddy Creek, we have started the armoring of Muddy Creek. You know, we did all the digging several months ago. You know, that's been finished, but now we're using stone riprap to armor, especially the outside of the curves on Muddy Creek. In regards to the Loma presentation, we mailed out 112 certified letters of notifications. It was mailed June 12th and 13th. And that was to people that are currently in the X zone, but they will be moved to the AE zone. We also, with the help of Dut Montelius of OEP, we sent out 1,235 messages via landlines or people who have their cell phones tied into the emergency response. So those people were included, and it's really people that are affected one way or the other. So that's why it was 1,235 different contacts. And that's it.
Any questions for the drainage report? Mr. Dawson?
Thank you, Joy. Very comprehensive report. On that AP drainage support contract that you mentioned, what's the value of that contract?
We don't like to give that out really until we open bids. I mean, I'd rather not have it publicly sent out, but I can tell you, after the meeting, I'm not doing that.
Tell me, what does it entail exactly?
We actually worded it to where it says, and other things, it's not inclusive. I have a list of, a partial list of what was included in the contract. H&H studies, modeling of bodies, drainage impact studies, preliminary and final plans, project supervision and inspection, general engineering support during construction, and benefit cost analysis. But it
So it says preliminary and final plans, is that,
preliminary and final plans.
yeah, but that's not preliminary plats and final plats. That's not the same thing as what CSRS is currently doing, is that
No.
correct? Okay. So we don't have, I guess you got that, how many man-hours that we're talking about, or maybe after the meeting, then if you can't give it publicly, I'd like to know
Well, look,
the
let me
scope
clarify.
of
Y'all
that.
talking about the engineer RFQ right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a public bid deal because it's a professional service. So, Joey, if you got a not to exceed budget amount, whatever y'all have, you can let him know what that's
Okay.
gonna be.
Well, that's
It's gonna be a task order contract, though. It's not just one firm.
So what's the not to exceed?
Yeah.
$1 million.
Nice, for somebody. All right, LA 22, and you said HNTB gave some information to the Corps. Is that correct? And is that?
Yeah, the Corps came
that-
to us and wanted
Uh-huh.
that information, so I got Melissa. to send it.
That's the evaluation that we did as part of this $1.2 billion?
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's
Okay.
correct.
And that includes, I can't remember now, is that an alternative to, and one is to raise 22 and one is to make cuts in it? Do you remember exactly?
It's really the cuts that they're going to use is, from an existing flat deck bridge to the diversion, but it
Okay.
leaves out the part where there's houses right now. It actually kind of goes on.
But it's
either
going to be
side.
like bridges?
Bridges.
Yeah, okay, great. And, let's see, the Lomar. So you said you sent out 112 registered letters, right?
Correct.
And I don't know where that number came from, but before we had a number that said that was about 300 that went from X to AE. Am I remembering that incorrectly, or?
I'd have to look back, but I think some property owners own multiple of those
Well, you'd
properties.
have to have a lot of them
Yeah.
to reduce it to a third of it.
There's some that own quite a bit.
312,
I'm trying to
maybe,
think
something
why,
like that.
It was over 300, well, around 300 is what I remembered. I just want to make sure that are we sure this time that this is all inclusive, this is everybody that was let's say,
Yeah, we have-
negatively impacted, went from X to an AE.
Yeah, and we
That
also
we
had,
we got them all. And there's
I think we got 'em all.
there's 112 people that were affected. I don't know how how do you put that? It's not 112, is it 112 structures?
it's parcels, but,
Okay.
yeah, there's several multiple owners.
But this is driven by structures. Well, no,
Well,
it's not.
not
I'm
really.
sorry, yeah.
Right, it could be just
Yeah.
parcel of land, vacant land.
Land.
You know, we attempted.
So I had some, some people that called me about that, and I'm glad they got the letter. I wasn't sure, though, I didn't see a copy of the letter, but if I'm not mistaken, the recommendation that we had was that people should go buy flood insurance now, even though they're not in a flood zone, and they would be grandfathered in under their current rate. Is that,
Correct,
do I remember that
Yeah.
correctly? And did we tell them that in this communication?
in the letter, yes.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
same thing, the broadcast that we gave to all the phones was that, and also to let them know of the public meeting that we had
Yeah.
at the complex.
So if I did some simple math on that, I could subtract the 112 from 1235, and I'd get 1,127 people that were positively impacted, that they went from AE to X. Is that correct?
I want to think, whenever we, our attempt was to inform everybody that changed.
Yes.
So that includes, like, Sorrento was not they didn't go from an AE zone to an X or an X to an AE.
Well, they went from an A to an X. Most of these, my understanding, they went from an A to an X, or I guess some of them could have gone an A to an AE. I'm not sure about that.
Correct, and some of them did, and some of them went from an AE to an AE, but their BFE changed. So we wanted to inform those people also. So that's included, is those people. In the heart of Sorrento is a lot of those people where the BFE changed.
The BFE went down,
Correct.
but they still are in the flood zone.
That's correct.
Okay, so I think originally we had said, I'd remembered 1,200 that were positively impacted and 300 that were negatively impacted. Is it? Parcels. Okay.
And we tried to contact both property owners and occupants. We separated that part. So we attempted to, if there's a renter there, we try to attempt to get in touch with both of them.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, I appreciate the effort, I'll say that, and I'm glad that we put some extra effort into this so that people, I hope they go out and they purchase the flood insurance if they don't have it.
And, they don't have to, some people just don't want to get flood insurance. It's really, especially intended for those that have to get flood insurance, to maintain it and renew it now. And,
Well, in this case, so if you have somebody who went from an X to an AE, then you're talking about over $1,000 difference if they buy flood insurance versus being grandfathered in. So 400 and some odd dollars if they're in a X versus 1,500 or so plus if they're in an AE.
that's right, that's the
So,
one most affected.
and they could be grandfathered in at this $400 rate.
Right.
So, I think our recommendation should be, please buy it.
Mhm.
No, I think we tell everybody in Ascension Parish, especially somebody that's close to being in the floodplain.
Yep.
Okay, thank you again, Joey. Good report.
Mr. Sadler, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I received a phone call recently from Mr. John Murphy. Most here will, of course, recognize him as a member of the school board. Anyway, he's also a neighbor. He lives in Old Perkins Place subdivision right across Highway 427 from me, or Old Perkins Road. Unfortunately, Mr. Murphy was one of the several residences in that recent Prairieville very heavy rain event that took water in his home. In our conversation, Mr. Murphy indicated that Alan Allred from the parish had already come out after the storm and did some inspections and determined that the problem, or part of the problem, may be that there's some culvert, quote-unquote, culvert sizing problems between the adjacent subdivision to Old Perkins Place and the Walmart up there on US 61. So I'm curious, where are we in affecting any upgrades or whatever to, I don't know whether this goes to you, Ron,
Yeah.
or Joey.
I know Alan had mentioned that he would have to get an engineer to look at that, and Mr. Primo has been out on vacation for last week and part of this. When he gets back, he was gonna look at the discharge pipes that brings that water out to the main outfall ditch and see what size they are currently rated at, and if there are any significant size issues, but we haven't gotten facts on any of that yet. So we haven't said anything is undersized. We just need to verify what's there and see what the facts are. So we're waiting on that engineering on that.
Appreciate it. I just wanted to mention, Mr. Chairman, with that storm that Councilman Cluett mentioned during the prayer, sitting out there in the Gulf. Just hope it doesn't come and sit on Peeville again, and we get water in these people's homes. As everyone knows, I got lucky, came within inches of going to mine, and I don't know if across Perkins Road was a problem. It seemed like the ditch on my side drained, as I've said publicly, it filled quickly and drained very quickly, but that may not have been the case on the other side. So please, gentlemen, as soon as possible, when everybody gets back and so forth, let's take a look at that and see if we can assist Mr. Murphy and the other homeowners that took water. Thanks a lot. Sit down.
Mr. Raines.
Yeah, real quick for, I guess either one of y'all, but for you, Ron, I've gotten several calls. I know y'all working on them on back ditches, off-road ditches in the Sanamo area, all the way from the lake, all the way down the New River, you know. And so where we stand on these, our concentration of going to the back ditches. You know, we're extending contracts on the road ditches. So can you give me a little update on, you know, I got several ditches that have been put in for a while.
Yes,
And
sir.
and, you know, I hear updates, but I don't hear any of them or anything. So what,
Well, as you know, it goes to the work order list. And then on the off-road work, you're working a list of work that's already been called in. So they are grouping them by the task districts, which is east of 44. There's 4 work order lists on the off-road drainage work. You have a crew that's dedicated to the southeast and the northeast in your area. And they're working the oldest work orders first, and they are trying to take one of their crews and work the highest priority type thing coming in, try to address those two. So the top and the bottom of the list is sort of both moving. It's just a lot of work, Mr. Cluett. We're out there, we're digging, but we have 14 jobs, and the report I gave you is 14 jobs digging. I can work with the resources we have, and we're just steadily going at it. And
have you fully manned all the force that you,
yes, sir.
on the proposal?
Yes, we are.
And they're,
We are working.
and they're
every day to
manned
it.
fully in all areas, and they're working in all areas.
And I will say this: when you go and you dig 4, 5, 6 jobs when it's wet,
Yeah.
you got to go back to those people and do what you told them, and you got to go back and move dirt and dress up this or
Yeah.
you know, do what you told them you're going to do on entering their property. So, you know, we're digging in what we can, but when it gets dry, that's the time to go back and dress things back up. So we're digging in and doing that whole process of what it takes to do
Yeah.
the work. It's just it's a big.
Well, I
big
just got several calls on the list, you know,
Yes,
and that's
sir.
why I'm just trying to, trying to
And we
make
get
sure
rain
that-
events like we had last month, and, you know, it generates more work orders.
Yeah,
So we are steadily going at it.
okay. Also, I want to ask the administration, whomever respond, know where we stand with Livingston Parish and that Law Ridge Levy extension. I mean, damn, if we can't talk about it, we probably the only body in the world that can't talk about it. Everybody else
Well,
does,
we
including
are-
Livingston.
Mr. Graves is scheduling a meeting around the end of the month. We've been trying to get together for a get-down meeting.
Yeah.
And they go all day back and forth, and I think we came up with right at the end of the month.
I'd like to
meeting.
be present for that meeting, sir.
Yes, sir, no
Please
problem.
make me aware of that. I don't promise to be quiet.
Have you ever?
I want to ask what Mr. Dawson had dug into a little bit was the 22 cut, okay? Now, Joe, you said the 22 cut to the diversion. What are they? Yeah, he said, so where,
That's not my understanding.
yeah,
It goes
because
from as you're going towards.
I know it all in the back of my hand.
Okay.
So I just want to know where the proposal that HMTB is bringing forward to the
Like where?
magnitude of that going forward to the, proposed to the Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
What's that entail? Which version?
Well, we kind of clear that up, Randy. I went to
Well, that's
that
what I
meeting
wanna do, just
with
clear
the
it up.
Corps, and our project was on there of
Mm-hmm.
the Amite River study.
Right.
But when we got into the specifics of what they had on the books, it was just looking at Highway 22. It didn't have the Law Ridge extension, the raising of the existing levee, the north levee. And when you add all of those other components with the 22, you get the 3 to 5 foot benefit with the project. So they only had a piece of the project there at the core. So we wanted to make sure that they understood the way to get the most potential benefit out of the big vision of the project. So we had to get a little bit of clarity to the Corps and let them know the full vision of the whole project.
So they got it.
Yes, sir.
It's been delivered.
Yes, you had met with Melissa, representative with the
And
Corps.
who's delivering it to the Corps?
Melissa will.
All right. Are y'all involved in that? Or something just,
Yeah, I'm gonna keep up
You know.
with it, and I'll report next month where we're
yeah, I
at.
don't want to shoot the messenger, but I don't want to trust the messenger with my life,
Yeah,
okay?
I got you.
All right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know where whomever with the Corps of Engineers or any other association in South Louisiana would not know the total magnitude of what we're trying to do here. And I'm quite frustrated in the fact that good people of Ascension, East Ascension for sure, put up their money for drainage, and we've worked and we've worked and we've worked. And I ain't seen crap out of surrounding parishes yet, okay?
That's why we
I mean,
wanted to
zero.
Make sure they saw the vision of the project to the maximum of its potential.
Different.
Because I
project.
believe in that total project. Okay, I get beat up all the time for saying regional projects, because I should be local. But we gotta fix the region. But I gotta know that everybody in the region got to buy in, just like the people that did last year right across the canal from us that shut us down, okay? Because they didn't have any other alternative at the time. All right, so I don't want to lose focus of the mission. That's it. All right. And I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
Ms. Terry?
I'm good. I just appreciate everything that's going on Fish Bayou. Thank you very much.
Mr. Todd?
I'm good.
Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, just thanks again for Lake Park and attention to the weir going forward. Thank you.
I
Mr.
got
Benny?
Want to thank you guys for getting that cross ditch done on 929, getting those culverts replaced there. Had Alan out there looking. There's some other issues with some drainage right in that area. He's supposed to be, I'm sorry, not Alan. We have some other guys out there looking at some ditches, culverts that are along 929 right there that's got some issues with some washouts around some clean out boxes. So to let the people know that we're looking at that, and there's probably going to be a bigger project than just that there done. So hopefully we can help get some more water out of there quicker. Thanks to the guys for getting that work done.
Mr. Brandon?
Yeah, just real quick, I got a personal note. You talked about the Cluot ditch and the improvements you did and stuff you did back there off of Highway 30. I know that's Bill's area, but I ran into a friend of mine that lives on Delat off of 30 that goes back, cuts through there. Ralph Delat Senior. He feels like he's got some issues with what's been done so far, or maybe you need to do a little bit more, and he'd ask that you guys somebody get in touch with him.
Okay, he's on the roster. I'll get some.
Ralph
called
Talat
that
Senior. Yeah, you called that?
While they was together, we called it in.
Yeah,
There's a work order there that.
I'll look at it.
Mainly
There-
is
Yeah,
the culvert size that goes across the Screw Out Road.
right.
We'll look at it. I'll
I
get them on it in
appreciate
the morning.
it. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Two quick things. Everyone's okay? Okay. Joey, the scenic waterways, can you expand a little bit on that? What permit?
Which one?
You said, was it GSA or who acquired the scenic, water permit? Who got that?
Scenic waterway.
Yeah, we received it from the Corps.
All right, so what, is that by a man shack or who is this for?
That's for Fish Bayou.
Fish by man shack?
We're discharging into man shack, so we had to get a permit to do that.
Yeah.
The effects
So
of
how
man-
far is this permit gonna go? Is it just for the,
It's just for the Fish Bayou project. It's part of the process to get that project permitted.
okay, the other thing, equipment wise with the grass cutting. What we need to do, where are we at with the, cutting of the, main, canals? Do we need more equipment, or, I know we had a few breakdowns, but, what do we need to
We
really
have-
make this pass work?
We have some units ordered that should be coming in this year. And, man, the biggest thing with that is just the weather. It has been finally drying up where we can get off-road. Same thing, I mean, we can get more resources and hire more manpower, but we have what we have, and that's what we're using to the max of its potential. I wouldn't say that, hire an extra couple of tractors per section wouldn't help out. It probably would, but it's just money and personnel, and how much resources does the parish want to invest there? And we have been working overtime when weather permits. Every weekend we get the chance, we try to work those guys as much as we can.
Well, real appreciate that, but it's, I'm getting a few pictures of the tall blood weeds and different things in certain areas, and this is, some of our main channels that go into Marvin Bro and a few other ones that, coming into Henderson, so, anything we can do, to eliminate that, I'm just throwing it out there.
All right. I'll try to bring back something to the board. I'll get with the vegetation department and sit down with them and see if they can come up with some suggestions to do anything better or what their needs would be. But, like I said, we have everything broken down to those sections and equipment assigned, and working best we can with what we got.
Appreciate that. Any other questions on the report? Not, thank y'all. We'll move on to number 7. Increase contract with on grade. Like Alan, you want to take that, Ron?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go over this. Increase the contract for on-grade construction, roadside ditch culvert maintenance for about $2 million for a contract total of $4.25 million. This did have to go for a budget amendment. It's going through finance. It's been introduced at your last council meeting, and it'll be up on the 18th for approval at the council meeting. So this would be the amendment to the contract, but it won't go into effect until that process, the ordinance, the budget amendment is approved.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Johnny. Discussion. Any opposition to the motion? Not. Motion passed. Appreciate that. Number 8, the approval to bid for Pelican Point Parkway drainage. Ron?
Yes, that is correct. Approval to bid Pelican Point Drainage Repairs Project Number EAD 19-004, located near 40611 Pelican Point Parkway. We've gotten final plans back and specifications on that, but we need to get temporary construction servitude, and we have to execute a few negotiations, but we wanted to make sure that you guys approve bidding it first, and then we'll go from there.
Moved
to approve.
Moved by Mr. Bill.
Second with a question. I just want to say that we've got about 3 more weeks of work to do the cost-benefit analysis, Councilman.
Well, hurry it up.
You gonna second that?
No, I'm not.
I second it with a question.
Second,
I owe you
question.
one, wait.
Ryan, do we have a cost on that, roughly?
Yes, we do. It's actually in the packet.
Okay, all right.
105,000.
105.
I see it. I'm
105,
good.
yeah.
I'm good.
581.
All right, we have a motion and a
I got a
second.
question.
Question, go ahead, Mr.
So
Lewis.
this is a repair, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's just one crossing right here?
Actually,
That's marked on the map? That's what I'm asking.
there's one crossing that goes from one side of the road to the other. And, if you'd like, I could show you a diagram of what's going on there.
Well, I just,
Well, it's got that picture on the,
Yeah, it's,
don't know,
it's
We
one
got-
cross drain that goes from one side of the street to the other. But then about 300 feet down the street, there's another catch basin. Somehow or another, there was a pipe ran from that catch basin 300 feet down the street to the cross drain that failed, and it runs underneath the blacktop parallel in the street. So you got joint failures running with the street instead of across the street and across the street. So each one of those joints that failed is concrete pipes. They've got to dig that up, and they have to keep one lane of traffic open in this. There's only one way in and one way out to the residents beyond the construction site. The golf course goes right through the construction site. So all of the logistics of this is pretty complicated. You have to expose the pipes and pour a concrete collar around each joint that is leaking, and then go back full depth repair of the road section. So all of that will have to be done in this project, so it's pretty complex.
so we got good film on all of it? It's all good? Other than the joints? Talking about the concrete collar on the joints?
Yeah, that's what the catch basins also,
Yeah.
at the street. They're gonna do an earthen form, they're gonna expose everything and re-pour basically an in-place catch basin around all of that and seal the joints of the pipes going back into the catch basins and repair all of the joints.
I think if they need emergency access, you know, if I lived there, I'd want emergency access. We can probably put some limestone down through one of the fairways. We can find them a way out of there. It's kind of like we do in Galveston, Santa Monica, you know? We could,
I hear you.
it'd just be temporarily, 6 months or so.
They'll probably.
well,
want
there's
you-
actually not, it's not a bad place because they have the golf cart path that goes right there close to that. So, I mean, really going around
We're
that,
just gonna shift it north
yeah, yeah.
temporarily.
Yeah.
And there may be sections of that for staging of equipment. There may be some of that gets damaged that we're just gonna have to replace.
So kind of some background, Councilman Cluot, this is the worst place in the subdivision. So we know we have places throughout the subdivision where we have problems with the drainage systems that causes the road to collapse. This is the worst place it picked out, and this is the one that the homeowners association, more or less, we told them, pick a spot, and we're gonna do one, we're gonna see what the cost is, we're gonna see how bad, for example, the pipe is. This one, I think, has the material, yeah. Say it again.
Floor light?
Floor light, under the road. So, we're gonna learn. We're gonna use this as a learning experience. It's not gonna be cheap, but we're gonna fix the worst spot in the subdivision, use it as a learning experience, and see how we proceed forward from here.
God.
Is-
All right, we have
is that
a
fair?
motion and a second on this before you talk your way out of this, man.
Thank you, Bill.
Any other discussion? Any opposition? Not, motion passed. Number 9, we're going to executive session. Ms. Liz?
Motion to go to executive session.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casso,
Yes.
Councilman Kluai,
Yes.
Councilman Dawson,
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Chairman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Sadlerly,
Yes.
Executive.
wave at woman.
Cleared out the crowd, yeah.
Motion to reconvene.
Motion.
Second.
Let me add real quick that Councilman Aaron and Councilman Turner. Okay, two out. Okay. On the executive session, with just an update. Number 10. Move to adjourn by Mr. Bill, second by Mr. Todd. Adjourn.